we went to the Senior Bowl, me and Joe.
We did.
I didn't.
I know. That's why we're going to chastise you and patronize you for it. So we went to the Senior Bowl. We got a notebook full of notes. Let's just dump them all out here.
Can I start?
Okay.
All right. So on my 17-minute podcast escapade last week, I was told Malik Willis, woof. And I was like, what does this mean? And then Joe goes, woof, woof. And so it's triple woof, the good old triple woof. And I mean, I want you guys to explain this to me. Why is he a triple woof? And then now he's all of a sudden flying up draft boards.
Okay. I'll take this one, Joe.
Yeah. We talked about this all week.
I want to preface it by saying maybe Wolf was a little strong. Maybe it only needed one Wolf, maybe two. I just don't love the man's arm. He plays like Jalen Hurts. It's so Jalen Hurts that it hurts to watch.
I don't like that you use that as a comparison personally.
It's what it is. He is a very fantastic runner of the football. When he is running and he's in space, he is so quick, so fast, and he can get away from defenders like nobody's business. He just can't throw the ball accurately. And that's the part of the game. He's got a really strong arm. So it's like if you can hone those skills, like his arm is way stronger than Jalen Hurts. It's just the accuracy might be a little even worse than Jalen Hurts. So it just scares me taking that guy on your team, knowing that he can run he's got like on Madden, like a 99 in running ability, but his throwing ability is probably hovering in the low 70s. That is just a frightening thing to, put your entire franchise behind. And that's why I just cannot see him as a franchise quarterback, at least right away. But I guarantee if you draft him, you're going to have to play him right away.
Oh, yeah. So that's the thing is all the teams he's being linked with right now are like Carolina. And
he's going to have to play.
Pittsburgh.
He's not a sit person.
Tomlin ran over and talked to Malik Willis's parents apparently for 30 minutes right after practice during there. And he was all over the quarterbacks. He was talking to him a lot. So, I mean, there's definitely interest there. He did hit a trash can with no defense on the field in the end zone twice in a row.
On purpose or on accident?
No, it was on purpose. It was really impressive.
All right.
But no, none of the quarterbacks looked good. None of them looked great. And he probably looked the best solely on the fact that he ran. But I wasn't really impressed with any of the quarterbacks there. I think there's talent there, but there's not a guy that I saw at least. And Billy, I think you agree with me, that can go into an NFL franchise and just take the helm. I don't think that guy exists.
There's a red flag with everyone, to be perfectly honest with you.
Yeah. I mean, Howell was elusive. He didn't get sacked.
But short.
Ritter threw a good ball, but overthrew a lot of people. Pickett made some questionable mistakes as well. I mean,
Pickett has small hands, which we will find out at the combine exactly. He's double jointed. He was not going to get his hand measured this week or last week, so we do not know exactly, but he is double jointed, and it looks kind of like a claw when it's at so he couldn't get an accurate measurement. The rumor is they're under 9 inches, which is frightening to know if you are a GM. And he did look the best during the Senior Bowl. He was the best quarterback out there, but it's just he doesn't have the strongest arm. It just looks like a game manager.
So the practices we watched with no defense, no pass rush, nothing. I mean, every quarterback was overthrowing, underthrowing, and I know it happens, but it just seems like we should have seen crisper play from the quarterbacks. I mean, it just wasn't exciting.
I mean, you did say it rained the entire time as well, so I mean,
it did, but
that
it rained in football.
That did make it tough.
That's fair. I mean, I get it, but like getting an accurate read on that would be a little different in a nice day. But it sounds like Pickett is kind of in a lucky situation then where he can actually be in this draft class and be top of the class instead of being the, sixth quarterback down.
Yeah. Like last year he would have been a 4th or 5th rounder. This year he's a 1st rounder. And I don't know, he could probably game manage and he'll probably be the best of this bunch. Malik Willis has the highest ceiling, but
I was going to say back to Malik Willis, this whole running NFL that we're getting into, everyone, that's why he went up. I actually was just messing with you guys. I just wanted your triple woof, and all of a sudden he's climbing up draft
I don't
boards.
think it's a terrible plan to take him. I understand why you would. It's just it's for fantasy, for example. I would be nervous as hell if he ends up with like Washington with the Commanders, and you have to have the Terry McLaurin like that would scare the shit out of me, because he is going to throw it, 80 yards, or he could throw it 60, 70 yards down the field, but the accuracy's
I would have to say his best situation would be Pittsburgh because of the offensive weapons that he has. So he wouldn't feel like he needs to try so hard with just McLaurin and Gibson. I think it would open up some stuff for Gibson, but
it would mask their line instantly.
Yeah.
He was behind
well, because him and can you imagine him and Najee running around just doing weird shit and just pitching it to him? But I agree. It was fun. His 2 for 4 with 11 yards isn't a good sign.
Well, his ability to read the field is also frightening, but he also can, like he did in the game, bust off a 27-yard run and probably could have made it to the end zone if he didn't get tackled by, I think it was Channing Tindall. And it's just like that's the frightening part with him.
I'm not a comp guy, but I was reading about, and I saw Josh Allen's name tied to him twice. And the biggest thing that the NFL is trying to do, Josh Allen's the anomaly. People don't get more accurate as they get older. He's the anomaly, and you're trying to get. I mean, even Lamar Jackson, he's frightening. He's looked better. He might complete a pass here or there, but he hasn't gotten better as a passer. And you're going to deal with that, losing a game that you should have won because of that. And I think that's the problem with Malik. I don't know what everyone else was saying with him.
I guess it's just he's got the arm strength and he can run. And if you can get that in your building, maybe you can morph it into something.
Yeah, but Josh Allen's also a beast of a human being, and Malik Willis is a normal sized quarterback. So
isn't he sick? No, he's not.
He's 6'2".
He was 6'1".
6'1". Okay.
I mean, they might have measured him as 6'2" with his high heels on and stuff.
No, it's probably 6 because he was with the 6-foot quarterback, so he was probably about 6'1". But I don't know. It's just I don't love it. But can we get to some people we do love?
I have a massive crush on somebody.
Talk about him, Joe. He's first name on my list.
Oh my! So Rashad Wyatt. Everyone just drafted him.
Oh, so it is a dude.
It is, man. Rashad Wyatt, from the minute he stepped on the field, he is massive. He is strong. He was blocking. He was throwing people. He's fast. We saw him doing a couple of agility drills that he started off kind of slow, but he picked up over time. The burst on this kid is phenomenal. During the game, he routinely should have had like 1 or 2 yards, and he routinely picked up 8, 9, 10 yards when he was stopped. He also had the wherewithal in the game. For a bobbled snap, he bent down, picked up the ball, and continued to almost get into the end zone on a 2-point conversion. I'm blown away by him. Plus, you add his receiving ability to it. I couldn't be more excited about a player. I really, really couldn't be.
Easily my favorite one of the week. He's tall, powerful. First guy that touches him is not bringing him down, which is exactly what you want in a running back. And he's just got really good speed. So I cannot wait to see where he ends up, because I think whatever situation he ends up with, it's gonna be tough to keep him off the field. I don't know. This is kind of I don't know if this is an exact comp, but like I was thinking like Joe Mixon, maybe like something like that. Runs kind of similarly.
See, the crazy thing is ASU used him like mainly as a pass catching back too. Mm-hmm. So, and when you watch him take on contact the way he did, I was just like, why weren't you guys doing this? Very exciting.
Let's get to the other running back that we loved, and that was Damian Pierce. He's from Florida. Heavily underutilized at Florida. Like that was the one thing that like immediately, because his stats are horrible at Florida, but seeing him in person is a completely different story. He's only 5'9". He's a little powerful, like bowling ball of a running back. But when on the day we were down there watching practice, there was a drill at the end of practice where he had to do a blocking assignment against a pass rusher, and he held his own against that pass rusher. So that kind of skill is going to immediately get him on the field because he's so strong, and that like it's a skill that like you can't teach. Like he's just naturally strong and can hold his own in pass blocking, and I think he's just going to be a great addition to any team. He's going to be able to snipe and vulture touchdowns. And for fantasy football, that's going to mean a lot coming into this upcoming season.
Yeah, after watching that block he had where he first stood the defensive end up, and then the guy tried to recover, and then he just pushed him straight to the ground, like with authority. Like it was not – he also had that one play at Florida where he got like hit on the 4-yard line and his helmet popped off. and he still ran into like 5 other people and scored a touchdown without a helmet on. And that's ferocious. I want to see that on an NFL field very quickly.
Loved it. Anything to add, Josh, since you were there?
I was not there, if you recall that we talked about that already. I have nothing on that guy. You can move along.
Okay, let's get on to wide receivers. I want to dump all this out because we'll be talking about this in depth tomorrow. But wide receivers, there was really 2 or 3 that kind of like really popped off the page. I'll get to Calvin Austin. He was easily the best rising wide receiver this entire week. He went to Memphis. His route running is insane. Like he was easily juking out all of the defenders that are defensive backs that were on him in any of the drills that they were doing. And he's just so quick. He's a little short, so it's more of a like slot receiver kind of guy.
5'7".
Yeah. So it's not really like the height might be a problem, but if you're just going to use him like out of the backfield or in the slot position, he's very quick and he can get very open very fast. And that I think is going to vault him up somebody's draft board because like just the uses you can find for him are going to be incredible. And he was easily one of the best risers in this class this year.
Now, is Calvin Austin related to Tavon Austin?
I don't know. That's a good question.
That's a good question.
Because
I'll
you
get
said
on that.
little, and all I could think of was Tavon Austin.
No,
That
he
a
was
good
impressive with the route running and the quickness, and all of the quarterbacks knew it. It was, every snap in practice and even during the game, they were looking his way often because they knew he'd be open. So definitely a guy to keep an eye on to see where he lands.
For sure. And then the other wide receiver that was really good this week was Christian Watson. Kind of a surprising player you didn't really know much about at the time. He's 6'4", which is insane, and his catch radius is even crazier. It's one of those guys where I'm sure, because Cooper Kupp played in the Senior Bowl, I'm sure it was something like that where you just see a player that kind of came from a small school and you didn't really think he was going to be much, but this guy was catching every ball that was thrown at him. And just a player at that size, he's going to end up being probably, I don't know, maybe the 5th or 6th wide receiver taken, maybe even higher by the time everything's said and done. And I could easily see him going to the 2nd round. I think he kind of solidified himself as a 2nd round wide receiver. And for your fantasy drafts next year, he's going to be a steal wherever you get him in your dynasty drafts, especially.
Kind of ironic that he had a better year without Trey Lance.
I know, right? Like that. It's very, very odd, but he was very good at the Senior Bowl. Very surprising.
I also, another running back real quick I want to touch on was Abram Smith out of Baylor. His contact balance is ridiculous. I know they weren't really tackling, but he was consistently just bouncing off of people and picking up more yards. And his hands, the routes they had him running were true down, wheel routes and that sort of thing. And he caught everything. So definitely a guy to keep an eye on that one as well.
So it's safe to say that you guys weren't rooting for the American team. You're rooting for that national team.
The national team was just so much better than the American team.
It was pretty incredibly
completely honest with you. But I'll quickly get to another. I mean, I'll just do the entire position. Do not worry about tight ends this year. Whatever tight ends you get are going to be fine. They had Cole Turner was great. Trey McBride is that's the
awesome.
2nd round tight end that you're going to be able to take in your fantasy draft and feel comfortable. Isaiah Likely, former basketball player. We heard him talk a little bit at the Senior Bowl. He was great. That's going to be a fantasy football tight end that you can easily take. There was a UCLA kid, Dulcich, who was very good. There's just like all these tight ends. That doesn't even count like Jalen Wiedemeyer, who wasn't even there because he was a junior. Like tight end this year is actually going to end up being a very useful position in fantasy. And I think we needed this kind of influx of tight ends to come in and really help out the position because it's been tough to find good tight ends. But like Likely, Turner, there's a Ferguson that was really good in the Senior Bowl game. I didn't really check him out that much during practice. And then like Isaiah Likely, those are all receiving tight ends. Like that their job is receiving. They're also good at pass blocking, so they'll get on the field, but that's what they're coming in as is good receiving tight ends. Trey McBride, you're going to be able to take him in fantasy and probably use him next year. I know rookie tight ends are a little sketch, especially not saying he's like a Kyle Pitts. You don't take him that high, but like, it's a useful guy that you're going to be able to draft later in your dynasty draft and still be able to have him on the field.
So I have a question, actually. I know you didn't really see much of the field, but you guys were talking about quarterbacks. Carson Strong, was there anything there? I know he's kind of like one of the like 5th ranked quarterbacks, but those are kind of people to watch in Dynasty and in drafts and whatnot.
He shocked me at how mobile he was, because he was not mobile at all at Nevada. The only thing that I didn't like about Carson Strong last week was that, so he had Romeo Dubs, which was his wide receiver and main target, there on his team. And then he also had Cole Turner, which was his tight end, also at Nevada. Both of those guys were on his team that he was throwing to. I don't love that, because you're comfortable with them. Like I need to, and during the game, his 2 completions, one was to Romeo Dubs and the other one was to Cole Turner. Like I didn't love that he had his comfortability there. He's got a great arm, and I think he could be a good quarterback. Don't really trust what I saw last week, but in general, I just need to see more from him, because I don't love some of his attributes.
I was just wondering, because he has the best likelihood of being drafted by a team that is going to be good. Although this year, with all the draft kind of quarterbacks kind of falling in the middle of the ballpark instead of the top 5, there's definitely some possibilities for good teams. Like whoever goes to Pittsburgh should at least likely be
one of these guys is going to vault up draft boards.
Yeah,
it's looking like Malik Willis.
Malik Willis is doing
Corral. It could be
Malik Willis.
One of these guys is going to jump up probably in the top 10. So.
I've seen a lot of reports about Pickett going to Carolina.
Combine is next week or next month. I think that'll really tell us where people are leaning, because that'll really solidify what people think about. Quickly, IDP, Perion Winfrey is that guy. He was the best player all week at practice, best player in the Senior Bowl because he won the award for MVP. This was the best week of football of anybody that was there. So in your IDP drafts, look out for the name Perion Winfrey. He does play defensive tackle, so that does kind of scare people off. But I think just his energy and his like ability, like he was just crushing every rep out there. I think he's going to be
dominant.
Good. It was.
He was dominant. There was no other person that was that dominant on the field.
Not that was at his level. There was a couple other players that I loved, but he was at a different level. It didn't seem like everybody else wanted to be out there when he was out there, because he was killing everyone. So the only player that I have that I didn't love last week, and this will be my last guy, maybe Joe has another one, but I did not love Brian Robinson from Alabama. He just didn't stand out. And in a week where you have players like Rashad Wyatt, Damian Pierce, Abram Smith, you got to stand out. And when they played in the game on Saturday, TJ Pledger, who came in on Thursday, we didn't even get to see him because Thursday was closed to outside media except for the NFL credentialed people. TJ Pledger came in on Thursday, apparently did enough to warrant him leading the team in rushing on Saturday. And Brian Robinson was on that team. So I don't like that. I don't like that is how that worked out. And I don't think Brian Robinson will be somebody that I'm pushing for this offseason. Maybe if he lands in a good spot, maybe that'll convince me otherwise, but I'm pushing him a little bit further down my draft board than I thought.
Yeah, I'd agree with you there. One more note. I got to talk about my defensive line guy, Logan Hall out of Houston. They were doing defensive line drills on there. And he picked up the offensive lineman, threw him down. The guy got back up, and he spun around with like an elbow to the back of the head and just pushed him down and got to the quarterback immediately. It was one of the most impressive things I saw all week next to the Damian Pierce block. But keep an eye out for him because he's big, he's mean, he plays with a high motor. So IDP guys, late round, no one's going to be on him. Snag him.
Yep. And we would like to say we did not get to see our coveted Devin Lloyd. He opted out. Jahan Dotson also opted out, so we didn't get to see the best wide receiver that was going to be there. So that was a little frustrating. I guess they liked where they were going to get drafted, so they did not go. We also did not get to see Dalvin Cook's brother, James Cook. He also opted out. I'm not positive why he did that because his draft position was not solidified. And I think Rashad Wyatt may have usurped him. I from what I saw James White this entire season versus what I just saw Rashad Wyatt do, I would rather take